There are renewed calls to reform the family court system after claims some parents are waiting up to 2 years for formal access rights to their children after a breakup.
Well, some areas of our region are struggling with a heavy backlog of cases. The charity Both Parents Matter recently held an event for members of the House of Lords, saying better mediation processes are needed for quicker and more amicable resolutions. Here's Nick Smith.
The breakdown of a relationship can be a hugely stressful experience, but the process can be much more complicated when children are involved. Family courts can determine access rights for either parent, but in the wait for a hearing, the primary carer often holds the power and control of when and where their ex-partner can see their children. Richard Nixon chairs the Both Parents Matter group for Crawley and Horsham and says delays in courts in the South East are causing a huge amount of distress.
In Kent, they have closed Medway, Thanet and Tunbridge Wells Family Court. Consequently, even without any increased applications in those areas, the existing remaining courts have got to take the weight of the cases which would have been covered in those courts. Consequently, it's affecting those remaining courts in terms of backlogs. I'm hearing cases that are taking 5 or 6 months from application to even getting a first hearing.
John Denby spent years having restricted contact with his own children after separation from his wife. His son and daughter were under 10 at the time. He says without a firm plan in place for access in the initial stages of a family breakup, reliance on the courts can have a devastating effect on the parent who isn't the primary carer.
Heartbreaking is the immediate word that comes to mind because I was a very hands-on, committed father. Suddenly they're gone from my life. You would be walking down the road and you might see a father taking his children to school, and it really hurt that you could no longer be a father to them. We would like to see a less adversarial system because we think that generates conflict. The delays in the system are very damaging and that's contrary to a child's best interests.
Some countries like Sweden have a presumption of shared parenting and try and facilitate equal access from the point of separation. But family law experts like Lucy Reid say there are important factors to consider which do often need the presence of a judge.
It's to ensure that the welfare of children is properly identified and prioritised, and that includes their safety. Sometimes parents don't agree about whether the other parent is a safe and able parent. So there are some cases where it's absolutely right for the court to say, no, contact should be restricted, but there are also a large number of cases where contact can and should be promoted, and it is promoted, and orders are made by the family court.
The Ministry of Justice says the backlog in the family courts is reducing but remains too high, so they are promoting methods like mediation to settle child access and visitation. A move welcomed by advocates for a system where separated parents can properly share involvement in their children's lives. Nick Smith, ITV News.
This is ITV News Meridian in the South East, still to come.
The weapon of war excavated from a field in the North Downs. We're with archaeologists to find out more about the deadly V2 rocket and where it was destined.